Ready and racing.
Welcome to the Dogcast for Greyhound Racing SA. Visit grsa.com.au.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Dogcast, brought to you by Greyhound Racing SA. I'm your host, Brenton Yates, and as always, joined by Greyhound Racing SA's racing manager, Shaun Mathieson. And Matho, the spring chasing carnival, mate, we're really going to start ramping up. We got the Oaks and Derby to check out on the back of the Kings and Queens last week, with the Adelaide Cup sort of a month and a bit away.
Oh, exciting times, Yatesy. Great time to be a greyhound enthusiast. SA racing, as you said, the spring carnival, it's right here upon us. Some wonderful heat to the Oaks and Derby on Thursday night that we'll talk about in the show. But yeah, really heating up, a lot of interstate flavour, taking on our best of our locals.
Yeah, and you really will be worth paying attention as well. Matho's got a little bit of inside information that doesn't really show up in the race book, so I think that'll be handy for those who are looking toward the Derby and the Oaks heats on Thursday night. So yeah, we're going to look back. Fiorano, the narrowest of wins, but got it done in the Kings and Queens, and then look ahead to the big night. We've got the Group 3 Oaks and Derby heats, so we'll check through those and see if we can find you a few winners.
The Week in Review.
Our Week in Review is brought to you by the Fresh Pet Food Co., proud suppliers of fresh pet food for our GAP SA greyhounds in the GAP prison programs. They're based right here in South Australia, so get along, visit their website, freshpetfoodco.com.au for more information. Matho, last Thursday night, we had a big final, 7,500, I think, was it overall?
In total,
total. So the Kings and Queens we're talking about, on paper it was shaping as a really intriguing sort of race. Could Be King was the medium of some very strong betting support. He was crunched into favourite, and he charged home to just miss. Fiorano doing enough on the line, leading all the way for Brenda Oakey.
Yeah, no, it was a terrific race. A real high-quality affair. I mean, the Kings and Queens was set up a number of years ago as the dogs that, when the Oaks and Derby reduced from 30 months back to 27 months, there was a 3-month gap there for these dogs. So we put a race series on, and it's really developed, and it's actually quite a really good race, and a lot of nice dogs coming through it, and Thursday night's race was no exception. Could Be King, drawing box 1, finally drew a box. and I think the reason for the support was because Zambora Blaze had drawn 2, and we saw in the heat, gave a beautiful run to Fiorano, and I think that was the key with Could Be King, and so that's why the support was there. Fiorano began really well, jumped out, led. Could Be King got the beautiful run through, and Finished Jewel also made ground around the outside. But I think Pockets Watson, the other Ben Rawlings runner, which sort of slotted in behind Fiorano in front of Could Be King, probably just stopped Could Be King's momentum a little bit, just because he had to come around Pockets Watson, which may have cost him a little, because it was only a nose on the line, wasn't it, Yatesy?
Yeah.
Right at the finish line, with Fiorano hanging on, running terrific time, 30.55. Could Be King charging home, and I know you've caught a lot of races at Angle Park, and you're a bit unsure as to which way to go.
Yeah, well, the reason is because sometimes when you get these quick finishes, you don't give them their due. And I thought clearly Fiorano had held on, but I knew that Could Be King was finishing that quick speed.
Yeah.
And historically, I know you've got to maybe just take a breath and have a look. And he did get the dive, right? And he was out a little bit wider. So at Angle Park, from where I sit, I need to tack up a little bit to the outside greyhound as well, just the way that the angle is for me. So I knew Fiorano was in front, and I knew Fiorano was in front just before. Whether on the line, I wasn't 100% sure. So I actually just took a little breath, had a look, and said, not sure, because the King had sort of bobbed, and look, he just missed. The way it panned out, he had every chance, in my view, despite what you say about coming around, because I thought he got all that luck early. If he doesn't get through that Zambora Blaze shifting up on the first bend scenario, he's well out the back. I mean, he saved 3 or 4 lengths, got past 3 or 4 dogs by not doing much. So I thought he had his chance to run down Fiorano in the way the race panned out, because if he had to come from 2 or 3 further dogs back to get around, I think he would have not been able to get there. So I felt he sort of had his chance.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of a... He's one of those dogs, such ability, but can find a little bit of ways to get beaten. And you say probably the box draw played in his favour, the run to the first turn played in his favour. I might be reading a bit more into him coming around the outside, but we know he can run around dogs. He's done it before. He won a heat of the SA Sprint Championship or the Nationals, just rounded them all up around the outside. So high quality dog. But yeah, full credit to Fiorano and Brenda Oakey. Like she was talking about the dog on the dais that I think it's had 6 wins for her. They've all been best of the night, flying for her. And she's having a wonderful run at the moment with her dogs.
She is. And I think the other thing with this one, with the exception of maybe, it might have been one race, but it's faultless in its starts. Like it just begins so well and able to find the lead. I reckon the last 6 months for Brenda has been terrific. She's been having a really nice run. She's
come into it really well, and full credit to her. And she is a lovely person as well. When you talk about her, she's so gracious on the dais about the race that she was in, and doesn't really take it for granted. The top 2 we know are wonderful dogs, and Finish Jewel, the top 3. Finish Jewel has always been a bit of a favourite of mine, just the way she races, and we see her step up on Thursday night, Yates over 5.95. So it'll be interesting to see what she can do at that middle distance level. But she was a terrific performance as well into third.
Yeah, she goes around in race 1, so we look forward to that. And Ryan Tugwell certainly having a lot of fun with Finish Jewel. So Fiorano, just nosing, could be king in the Kings and Queens final. We're about to get stuck into the big preview. We've got a huge night coming up on Thursday night.
The preview.
The preview is brought to you by SA Greyhound Tips Twitter feed. Free tips for SA Metro Greyhound meetings. You can search at the Dogs SA and jump on board. As always, gamble responsibly. Matho, Thursday night, looking forward to it. Group 3 heats. We've got the Classic Age Oaks and Derby heats. Now, before we get into this, I sort of teased a bit earlier on that you've got some info that we may not see in the form guides. Can you bring us up to date?
Well, so normally, Yatesy, with dogs trialling in lead up to our feature races, as the likes of through the series, Assen Costello, Scalacci have, they've done it at a race meeting, solo trial, that time's recorded. But some trainers do go to some of our just normal trial sessions on a Tuesday night at Angle Park or a Saturday morning. And in this case, Jeff Brenton made the long trip across to trial the 6 runners on Saturday morning that are engaged, 3 through the Oaks and 3 through the Derby. They're not listed. They are listed on our GRSA website. They're the last trials over the 500 metres, but they're not named because they're just trialled in the name.
So we don't know who did what?
No, but all the dogs trialled between 30 and 50 and 30 and 60.
Wow.
So, I mean, that puts them right in the space of, of being very, very competitive, let alone their race form, which makes them competitive. But they have had a look at the track, which we did find last week with the Tassie dogs. They both bombed the start and probably hadn't had a look at the track, and they'll be much better, obviously, this Thursday night. But these dogs have had a look. So when you're doing the form, take it that, they have had a look and, they should hopefully run up to their form, really.
Yeah, well, look, that's important information because having a look here is crucial. As you touch on, we saw with the Winburn Greyhounds that they didn't get around that well. They'll be better for the experience. But if you're looking through the form and think, I'll put a pen through because I haven't seen it, that's wrong because they have.
Yeah, the Britton dogs have. All 6 of them have seen the track on Saturday morning.
All right, let's have a look at the first heat of the Oaks. So this is race 2 on the program. Matho, look, going through, I thought there were 3 main players in this particular heat. I thought from the inside out, Webleg Jewel, Zipping Mahalia and Winburn Honey were maybe the 3 major players. What did you come up with?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, first of all, we're wrapped that we've got 2 heats of each of the series and the numbers are really good and there's such quality through them. So we're wrapped in that we've got the support from the locals and interstaters. But as you mentioned, the first heat, race 2 on the night to kick us off with our Group 3 series, they look the main contenders. I really liked Winburn Honey the way that she ran home last week after missing the start. And she was probably in a tougher race than her brother, effectively. And she really rocketed home the last little bit.
It wasn't even just missing the start, though, either. It was like on that first turn, just went way toward the outside fence, like had no clue what was going on. And then, like you say, to rebalance and then charge like it did at the end was very impressive.
Well, she was placed in their state final of the Nationals as well. So she's a high-quality sprinter. Already had a look at the track, drawn 6, a little bit wider on the track, probably will suit. So I probably like her on top. I think she'll run a bold race. Weblek Jewel from the inside, as you mentioned, one of the main contenders, has good speed, the Victorian form. So expect it to be right up on pace. And Zipping Mahalia for Nicole Price has been running really, really well. It's a step up to this sort of company. I mean, she's been able to beat probably just your normal grade 6 competitors, but a bit of a step up for her. But she's been super impressive the way she's gone about it. So, yeah, they're the top 3. I'm leaning towards Winburn Honey on top because I was really impressed the way she did get home, and a bit closer, she'll be hard to beat. Which way did you go?
Look, I'm probably leaning to Zipping Mahalia. I'm not sure the step's that big that you're talking about. She's won 5 of 6 here. Look, she's only ever drawn from the inside. She's won 2 of her 4. I think Weblek Jewel probably beats her out. But what I like about Zipping Mahalia is she's got some really nice strength. And if you look at her run last start where she drew 8, she had to keep working around. She was 3 and 4 deep the whole way, then eventually got down to the inside, where I think she prefers to be. I've got my concerns over Winburn Honey being tractable on that first bend. It's a real concern for me, given what we saw. I'm not sure how rapidly they can improve after the one look. Now, it may very well, and I think you're right about the draw. I think it suits because it stayed wide, and look, clearly for me, she's got the biggest motor, but I've just got a little bit of a concern about her having another look. I'd like to see that and how she handles it before I sort of jump there. And Weblek Jewel, to me, is the speed in the race and maybe the one that they've got to get over late. So, yeah, I had a bit of a leaning to the local, actually, in that particular heat. So, Zipping Mahalia for me. We move along. So, the next heat is race 3. Look, this probably, to me, looked a bit thinner as far as the top-end talent compared to the first heat. I'm wondering what you thought.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. It can also happen with box draw, can sort of make one race slightly stronger than the other based on where the main chances have drawn. So I suppose the main chances in this have sort of drawn out a little bit with Where's Poppy for Kieran Corby out of the 4 and the 2 interstaters, Mapunga Surprise for Jeff Britton out of the 7 and Purified also for Jeff Britton out of the 8. In looking at the form, I thought Purified had speed from box 8. So I'd expect it to run up on speed. Mapunga Surprise clearly has some middle distance performances and has the strength, I think. And Where's Poppy probably looks the leader, Yatesy, for Kieran and can run time. So they look the 3 main chances for the race. Not to discount any of the other performers in the race, but they look the main ones. And I'm probably got a leaning to the local with Kieran Corby, with Where's Poppy. I think she can probably bounce to the front, and the others, whilst they have had a look at the track, they'll still need to work into the race, and so I think she might be able to pinch this one. What did you think?
Look, I initially had her there, but after speaking with you and hearing your information, I've sort of flipped a bit because I had actually initially put the pen through, like the greyhounds that hadn't seen the track. But I like the Mapunga Surprise, that bit of strength. Look, what we see with these races is greyhounds are still learning their craft. Like at this age, some have only had a handful of starts. So we haven't seen perhaps what these greyhounds can do. Like, for instance, Mermaid Lemonade might be able to improve. Fast Headache might be able to improve. But as far as those that have been out and done things, I like Mapunga Surprise, and I do like that 600-metre form that you're talking about, a nice bit of strength at the end. I think Where's Poppy and Purified are the absolute dangers. Probably Where's Poppy in front of Purified for me, but I'm going to throw in the 7 now that I know they've had a bit of a look, so that's my top pick.
No, I mean, the top 4 obviously go through, so it does give them an opportunity to, if they find a little bit of adversity, the main chances, they can still finish top 4 and they still get their crack at the final next week. So both the Oaks heats, as I said, we like the quality of it and the nice up-and-comers. So really looking forward to those 2 races on the night. And then we Yatesy jump into the Derby heats as well.
Well, they kick off the quadrella. Race 5 is the first heat of the Derby. I've got to say this is probably the toughest race of the night for me. I thought there were probably 5 winning chances on sort of first look. To me, it by far and away looked the toughest Derby heat. Take us through what you reckon.
Well, I do agree with you, and I think part of that is in looking at the form. I think there's a lot of speed to the first turn.
Yes.
I really do think there are some. Most of the dogs in here are more speed dogs. I think up on top of the speed, their form suggests that. So the likes of Simply Stylish out of the 2. Foot Rot Fender out of the 1 for Bosco and Christine.
He won't be in the early speed mix though, will he? Wouldn't he just be in behind, do you reckon?
You'd think so. I think some of the others will go a bit quicker.
Yeah.
Had no luck last week
at
all.
Yeah, Poleaxe twice. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Still good run.
Yeah. Well, I mean, adversity in the race and to still to run second. It was a super run.
I know there was a margin, but just the style of what he did. And that was on the back of what he did the week before where it had that gap between runs and just unable to get past the Hustler. So,
But I don't think he'll lead. He is coming out okay, but he definitely won't be in front. I wouldn't have thought he'll be sitting on them. Simply Stylish has shown it's got good speed and has trialled. Weblake Wolf, it's also shown it's got good speed out of the 3. Scalacci out of the 6, really impressive type, but really looks a nice speed dog. So up on top of the speed, and the likes of Who Knows Darren, who led a couple of weeks ago from box 8 for Don Turner. So I think it's a real charge to the first turn. So my leaning, I liked the Interstaters. I would have had Scalacci on top if Scalacci had drawn inside Simply Stylish, because but I'm a bit worried Simply Stylish will get the first look at the lead, and I think will be really hard to beat. So I'd lean towards the 2 on top in this one, Yatesy.
Look, I can't disagree. I had it in. I've actually got Foot Rot Fender there. Like if it gets that bit of luck, I found this so hard. I thought Foot Rot Fender, Simply Stylish, Scalacci, Weblake Wolf were the main 4, and I just was probably going to risk the pink runner. Who Knows Darren? I do concede what you said about the speed in box 8, and it did win from that draw last time, but it's a railer. Like he actually wants the fence, and I just thought there'd be way too much speed for him to get maybe where he wants to be in that particular race.
Yeah, and plus, he'd have to improve quite a bit on his winning times over the 5:30. He's only just stepped up to 5:30, by the way, as well.
Yep.
And the point you made earlier about the progression of these dogs, they can progress quite quickly because they're so young once it clicks.
Yep.
So he could be one of those types, but he'd need to improve quite a bit. And he does have to get across a race that has a lot of speed in it. Yeah.
I know it's a long time ago, but even an example of, greyhounds who come through the Derby Series. Like we've had greyhounds come through the Derby Series and then run an Adelaide Cup.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is the progression they can make in a short space of time. So I'm not saying that is the case here, but I'm just using it as an example of the youth can come through, like the gallops. A 3-year-old lightly raced can all of a sudden find a new level quickly. So I think there's an opportunity for some improvement in the runners, but on exposed form, I've gone probably 1, 2, 6 would be the top 3 for me, with Weblake Wolf not far off. Really tricky race. Race 6, this is Heat 2. Look, another case again here. I felt this was a slightly softer heat as far as chances go. I've maybe got 3 top winning chances, Mapunga Smoky, Buzz the Hustler, and probably Aston Costello.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'd probably throw into the mix there Lochinvar Milan, first up with Kia Hurley. And quite interesting, that dog's competed over 324 and 600 in its last 5 starts. So, but its New South Wales form is quite good. So I'd be keeping an eye on it for any market moves or anything like that. But drawn out wide, not sure if it's had a look at the track or anything like that, but no doubt it's got plenty of ability. But the depth in this race, I think the top end is quite good here. So the likes of Mapunga Smoky and Aston Costello, they look big chances for the overall series, let alone in this heat.
Yes.
So Mapunga Smoky for Jeff Britton out of the box 3. It has good speed. Don't know if it leads this race though, but it has some good speed. And it's ran sensational time, Yatesy. It was in that match race series 2 starts ago.
Yep.
Sorry, went 29-29 in beating one other dog, and then went super fast, 29-67 at the Meadows last start, which is very fast. Having said that, Aston Costello, has got a 29-26 to its name as well. So I think the run to the first turn is going to be really, really interesting. Probably whoever leads out of those two or is in front out of those two probably wins the race. Buzz the Hustler's been going terrific as well, as you mentioned, for Maury Kiley. Really, pretty much bulletproof in its form, comes out, puts in. So probably the third choice there. I'm probably leaning against the Tassie dog, Winburn Dozer. I wasn't as impressed as its kennel mate in its run last week, even though it did miss the kick and it expects some improvement.
Yep.
But I'm leaning like you, a bit the 3, 4 and 5 on top. Who did you have on top, though?
Mapunga Smoky. I've probably got him a series favourite. I think he's the one to beat, particularly if he draws where he does here. Look, Mapunga, Winburn Dozer just flopped out, didn't it, last start, like the kennelmate Honey earlier on you spoke about. Look, it wasn't too poor a run, but once he again got right off on the first turn, another one as well. Whether he can make the level of improvement, I don't think. I thought Aston Costello was the main danger, and Buzz the Hustler, it's hard to knock what he's been doing. And look, I take on board Lochinvar Milan, and I just wasn't sure where it would posse because a lot of its better form had been closer to the rail. I think it's had, what's it had? So four runs only from 6 and out, and it's had just the one win. A lot of its winning form is closer to the rail, 1, 2, 3. Interesting to see what plays out. But I thought Mapunga Smoky leads and wins. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see these sort of interstate dogs come across for our series. And Mapunga Smoky has a bit of a boom on him, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do.
He's won 8 of 16, so I love those winning strike rates, Matho. Those that are right up there in the 50% range. Speaking of winning strike rates, that's probably been you more so than me as far as the best bet of the night, although I think we both got clean bowled, didn't we?
Did. last episode, we both bombed out.
Yeah.
So, but we turn it all around with this one. You say you're only one winner away from getting back on a winning strike rate.
Okay, all right.
So
that gives me confidence.
So I'll kick it off. Best bet for Thursday night. I'm looking at race 4, number 1, Springvale Roxy. We know that she's been sort of mixing her distances between 5.95 and 5.30. It's a grade 1-2 race, which is excellent to have on the program. But we know that she is pretty much bulletproof out of the boxes. She runs at 5.20 to the first turn. I think she'll lead. I think she'll have enough speed on her rivals to get the job done. So race 4, number 1 on Thursday night is my best bet. What did you like, Yatesy, on Thursday?
Look, I like a couple. Obviously, in the first race, Finnis Jewel will be really short, so we won't go with an odds on it. What about Mapunga Smoky, Matho, in the heat of the Derby? I don't know. What do you think? Probably got to be 250, 270, doesn't it?
Well, I reckon it'd be slightly shorter than that.
Do you?
Yatesy.
Okay. I thought Aston Costello would be right there challenging as far as the market's concerned, but we'll throw it in. Yep. So this race that you're talking about, so where do you think Agent 99 will be in relation to Springvale Roxy? Because obviously Reality and Ferret will try and boot through, but Springvale Roxy, she's coming back from that 5.95 run, of course.
Yeah, no, I think Agent 99 will be outsider. Yep. I mean, I don't think Agent 99 will be able to cross her. Yep. And I think they met 2 starts ago where she led. He wasn't able to cross her.
Yeah.
Sat in behind and ran second, beaten 2 lengths. That was 2 starts ago. And I think that might play out similarly along those lines. Bear in mind, Reality and Fred, full respect for him, going fantastically well. And Springvale Dave, just in the race, just Mick Giniotis' team is going super well.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's drawn the wrong side of the track for him. He's drawn 8, where he's been winning from inside boxes. But I just think she'll just be in front, and I think it's the place to be.
Terrific. So I'll go with in the Derby heat. So that's race 6, I think we have. Second heat of the Derby. So I'll go, is it the second heat?
Yep.
Race
6, number 3.
Number 3, Mapunga Smoky. The other interesting race, a bit later on, we get to see Zipping Neutron again, and the kennel mate, Zipping Digby, going up to the longer range.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned on the show, you've mentioned on the show before, I mean, that's probably, the dog is looks like an absolute middle distance staying type, and we know Tim Aloisi has a really good sort of business model, if you like, of getting these dogs across to SA and running them over the middle distance and staying events, as he's done with Zipping Neutron. I think first look at the 700. I think Neutron probably will have the edge over Zipping Digby, but I can't imagine it'll be that far away from him. He has drawn nicely in 1. Springvale Rex is in the race. So whilst it's only a small field of 4,
Yes.
it's a really interesting race. But I think Neutron on top, but Zipping Digby, I wouldn't be surprised if it puts in a bold performance.
Yeah, I think that's the key. I think Neutron wins, but I am really intrigued to see what Zipping Digby can do and see if there is a bit of a future going forward as far as he is in the distance ranks.
Well, definitely, I mean, he's here. I'm sure that would be Tim's plan to step him up over that, because that's his profile. So, and that's, I mean, he has had great success with those dogs.
Well, Matho, great episode, and look forward to the big night on Thursday night. Box draws will be done on track after the races.
Both box draws on track. So, we'll get both feature finals out after they've all been run, so people can have a look at them, have a look at the box draw, and give plenty of lead-in time for the following Thursday for the Group 3 finals. But such an exciting time, Yates, for racing in SA. I know you love it when the big races come around. You're in your calls and you get really excited about it. So, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, terrific. The Spring Chasing Carnival well and truly underway. Thanks for tuning into the Dogcast and good luck on Thursday night.